What's the most fucked up story you've heard?
My barber for years, a Vietnamese American who gained refugee status during the boat people era, out of the blue, while cutting my hair, told me a story about how pirates took one of her sisters as payment for the family's safe passage from Thailand to Hong Kong. They never found out what became of her, but the family never stopped looking. The story was told in what appeared to me the most nonchalant yet heartbreaking way, as if she was merely wondering out loud. This was some 10 years ago. Every so often, I find myself thinking about the scenario and the type of strength it must have taken to endure and survive such a situation.
My brother-in-law is an engineer in the northwest of England. He mentioned about a time working in a molten metals factory where one guy fell into a vat of molten aluminium. It was an unfortunate working accident and they drained the vat and the only thing left was the steel toe caps from his boots. It resonates with me as at some point when the guy fell, he knew what was coming and he had no way to stop it.
My ex-wife's aunt came home after work and saw her husband sitting on a stump, leaning on an axe in the backyard. She assumed he was taking a break from chopping firewood, so she made coffee. She took his out to him and found out he had slipped. The axe cut his leg, he sat on the stump, and he bled out. The only thing propping him up was the axe. He had been dead since about noon. That story has never left my brain.
When I was a Cub Scout, we were hanging around unsupervised waiting for the Cub leader to turn up, it being the 1970s and standards of childcare being a bit different. There was a construction site nearby and being dumb 8 and 9-year-old kids we decided to go play in it. We were climbing into cement mixers, jumping into trenches etc., and then this one kid decided to climb up onto a big pile of planks and jump off. He jumped off, only about 4 feet down, and landed on one end of a loose plank below. The plank in question had a 6-inch nail sticking out of the end, which completely pierced the middle of this kid's foot so it was sticking out of the top of his shoe. The force of him landing on it caused the end of the plank to lever down violently on the uneven ground, and because his foot was impaled on the nail, it snapped his Achilles tendon. The other end of the plank levered up, smashed into his face, broke his nose and knocked out all of his teeth. We didn't see him for a while after that.
When I was living in Virginia, I had a buddy who was an EMT. He responded to a call of somebody going into anaphylactic shock. When they got him to the hospital, they discovered a rash on his lower back and backside. He somehow got his neighbor's German Shepherd to rectally violate him, but it turns out he was allergic to the dog.
I know someone who worked with a colleague who'd been tortured by having bicycle spokes hammered into his legs.
My friend's mom burned down an entire cemetery when she was 7 years old.